Good day, everyone. Good day, good day, good day. It is a wonderful Thursday afternoon, evening for some of you, night for others. I want to welcome you to the show. Hello, Jenny. Today is going to be a very informative one. We have a guest today, and they'll be going by the name of Miss M. I cannot divulge their identity, nor can I show their face because of the profession that they hold and the information that they also have within the confines of their head. But they can help us out a little bit today with the situation that's going on at the border. They have been there, and they have some very good information for us and some very valuable information to us that the media will not tell you because they're trying to hide all the real issues going on down there. And like I said again, this is no video. You'll only be hearing audio of the conversation. So don't ask if you can see her face. And so with that, I'd like to welcome Miss M. And how are you, ma'am? How are you? If you can hear me. Hello, Miss M. I wonder if she stepped away from her phone or if she muted herself. Miss M. Right, we'll continue until she shows up. We're going to be talking today about the border situation.
Okay.
You here now? Hello? Miss M?
How about now? Is that
That's better.
Yes,
yeah.
yes, I'm here. Why this is doing this? I don't know.
Because now it's the information.
Okay,
that's
is that any better?
Yes, Tom, you cannot see her
so
face
sorry.
because of
any
security
better?
issues. Yes, much better. Tom, you can't see her face because of security issues. Because of the profession that she has, we are not showing her face today. It'll be only audio. We were having a great conversation before all this took place. I don't know why it's having such a hard time now. Probably because we're live. Can you hear us now? Would you rather call in and we'll put you on audio?
Can you hear me now, Marlon?
I can hear you now, but it's in and out. The conversation was just fine before we started this live. I'm not going to lie to you. We spoke for almost a half hour. That's insane. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to call her on the phone and have an audio conversation and see if that works better. Hold on a second. That would probably be the better way of doing it.
Shalom. My deepest apologies. We had the greatest signal, and then it dropped.
No problem. No problem. I'm going to verify that folks can hear you still. Let me get the microphone a little closer to you. All right. So, can you guys hear her okay? Let me wait to get the response. Go ahead and say something. Introduce yourself.
Oh, well, Miss M. I am a resident of the Greater Wenatchee Valley. I work in law enforcement. That is all I can say. I can't divulge which law enforcement agency I work for. And it's great to be here. I hope to enlighten some people and let some truth out there, friend.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, they say it's a little fuzzy. That's the best apparently that I can get because things are all of a sudden acting up. I swear to you, before this all started, the other option is you have a laptop that has audio.
No, I don't.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Not right now. I don't.
Okay.
No, I need to get mine replaced of all the time.
Okay. Let me see if I can position this a little bit better here. I'm trying to get your monitor as close to the mic as possible.
Okay.
All right. Let's try that. Okay. So,
Okay.
for those of us in the room, we have a couple of questions here. So,
yes.
I want you to take some time and just explain to us the gravity of what's actually taking place down at the border. I want you to tell me exactly what's happening down there. Just give us an update.
Humanitarian crisis is putting it mildly. But until I can think of better words or a better definition to give you, we will use that. People are coming across in such large numbers in so many ways. It's overflowing, and at times it goes on. And no disrespect to the Border Patrol agents, because they go above and beyond the call of duty, and they are spending countless hours away from their families to do their job and do it flawlessly. But what's going on down at the southern border is being unchecked and unchallenged. And it's not just, I cannot stress this enough. Can you still hear me clearly?
Yes, we can hear you.
I cannot stress this enough. It is not just South and Central American immigrants. I like to use the word illegals, but I try and be a little bit more compassionate than that. Or individuals from different parts of Mexico that are wanting to cross the border. Middle Eastern people are exploiting this as well. We do have very bad people trying to cross the border, that have tried to cross the border. That's not a made up right-wing scare tactic story. That is very real. People from Yemen, people from Afghanistan, Chad, Somalia. So it's a mess. It's an absolute disaster. So you take what's going on with South and Central America and Mexico and those wanting to immigrate, you do have people from the Middle East exploiting that as well, posing as people from South, Central America, Mexico, immigrants coming in, and they're far from it. That isn't what they are at all.
So let me ask a question then. What kind of a housing situation is it for both the children and the people that are fleeing Mexico to be here? What kind of a living situation is it down there?
It's not a living situation. They're existing. And as I had told you before, take the Donna Center in Texas. They are expanding that, bringing more people in, getting more resources down there. But take a pod that should house, say, anywhere from 32 comfortably children to 50 maximum at one time, 600. People are shoulder to shoulder. Now it is getting better, but it's getting better because now 2,000 a day are being let into the U.S. And that doesn't even count the people that just, oops, we lost. Well, there is no oops, we lose them. It's, here you go. And they are busing them in. They're busing them in and they're letting them go. And then it's up to different church groups, humanitarian aid groups, maybe the generosity of others to help these immigrants. As far as the children go, it's heartbreaking. It's sickening. Now, I did not get called down to the southern border to deal with that. I got a glimpse of that, and I know what I got to see with my own two eyes. I was called down there because of Middle Eastern people attempting to exploit and come across the southern border. And these are very scary people. And
so on a scale of 1 to 10, the type of people that are coming across, what type of a threat are they to the U.S. populace and to things? Just on a general 1 to 10 scale, how dangerous are they?
7 to 9.
Wow.
Yes. These are people that are on terrorist watch lists, whether they're on U.S. terrorist watch list, Israeli, around the world, Interpol. It's a very serious threat.
And I'm assuming then that also includes, or within that group, there are coyotes as well that are exploiting not just the children, but the women that are coming across as well.
Oh, yes, very much so. So they will. I had one evening, I went out and patrolled the river, and they did their usual spotlighting check along the banks, and they had it was a bigger raft, motorized raft, and 30-year-old woman, 7 months pregnant, 4-year-old son. They're trying to cross. Well, there were drugs in the raft, so not to get caught, they tossed this innocent woman and her child overboard into the river, knowing full well that we in the boat are going to absolutely go for the woman and the child. And that's how they're ferrying. That's not a made-up story. That is what's going on. That's what these coyotes are doing. So if they can't get the money from getting the illegals across, they're also ferrying drugs. And in order to get the drugs across, if they have a raft full of people or a boat, they'll start dumping people overboard and leave and get the drugs across instead, while Border Patrol is busy trying to save these people and then take them across.
Wow.
And this is an everyday, all-day occurrence. So whether you're at a facility dealing with that, or you're out on active patrol dealing with that, I'm sure you did get to see. I'm almost positive the video had to have gone viral of the, I believe it was rancher in Texas that found those 4 very small children and 1 infant child.
Yes.
And that's an everyday occurrence. And these are unaccompanied minors. Most minors that are showing up at the border, they're already unaccompanied. Nobody is ripping children from parents' arms. And what many people fail to realize is that most of the time, if a child is showing up with an adult, 8 times out of 10, that child is with an adult that's not even a family relative. The likelihood that they're going to be trafficked is right up there. That's not being addressed. I wish it was being addressed.
Wow.
And it's not. So I know people like you, Marlon, thank you. Your listeners, thank you for listening and trying to raise the alarm on this, because it's a very serious issue, and it's not going to get better anytime soon.
No.
It's going to get worse.
And that's the thing. We were discussing beforehand about the connection between the other cells that are sneaking in with the immigrants from the Middle East.
Yes.
It's a direct result and a direct link with what's going on in Israel right now with the conflict, and not just that, with Palestine as well.
That's right.
And I don't think it's any coincidence that men from there are coming over, not just because they might be fleeing, which we highly doubt, but they're trying to expand the base of which they can operate from.
Yes.
So what exactly can we expect, or should we be expecting from our government to address the situation? Because it seems to me as though they're ignoring everything that's happening down there. I don't believe that I don't believe that clown has been down there once. Kamala Harris. I don't think she's been there at all. And she's supposed to be in charge of what's going on. Right. So what exactly is the process that's happening now? What have they been told to do?
To process them as quickly and humanely as possible. While President Trump was in office, he signed 2 titles, Title 42 and Title 8. Under those titles, most of them, the Title 8 is de-apprehend and then release, with the promise that you show up for your court date and all of that. Title 42 deals with the COVID, and they are to be immediately returned if it's believed that, if they're sick. But even ones that are testing positive for the COVID-19 virus, they're not being sent back. They're just being housed until they get better. And then...
But what is better? I mean, if we don't even know if they're not being vaccinated, then, since they're pushing so hard for this to be a vaccination thing, how are they releasing them into the populace without the vaccination, one? And if they're just expecting them to get better, why is the American public asked to be vaccinated before anything can go forward?
Right. That is a really good question. I wish I had an answer for you. I don't.
Because it doesn't make sense that they're letting as many people. You said 2,000 a day are being dumped into the populace, and if you just do an average of 1,000 that may have COVID, let's just go on the low end and say 400 of them have COVID. That's 400 right. More cases that you are having to deal with undocumented people that you can't tell where they're going. Right. You don't know where they're going to be. You can't trace them. You can't track them. So how exactly? I guess my confusion here with this whole situation is this. If we know that the situation exists at the border, that people are coming in not just sick, but injured, raped, and trafficked, how is it not the number one priority to be taken care of?
They are leaving a lot of that. So when they come across, it is the Department of Human and Health Services that they're laying the bulk of the responsibility at that department's feet, to set them up, to make sure they have a sponsor family, to make sure they have all the things, all the goodies that they need for when they come stateside. The reason it's not a top priority, they want they want as many illegals in as they pop. It's what they want. They want to create this chaos.
Do you think they're going to start offering not just amnesty but voting rights, since they want to remove the ID situation? And I think that's what this goes back to Black America too, and the liberals. They keep harping on the fact that having ID is a racist thing, and I think if the Democrats get their way and pass the no voter ID or no ID voting law, any illegal that comes across and that's allowed, you're talking about 2,000 a day, that can place a vote for presidency, for Senate, and no one would be the wiser as to whether or not that vote is of someone who's supposed to be in America.
Yes.
And it flips that voter registration way off, and you will never know. Now, here's a caveat too to it. If you do that, you also throw off the Electoral College. It'll give them a reason to remove the Electoral College, because it'll make no more sense, because now you have an unbalanced system.
Mm-hmm.
So they'll get pretty much what they've been looking for.
Yes. Yes. So I don't have answers for what's going on down at the southern border. I told you, with the crisis being what it is right now, before we went on air, the in my opinion, and a number of fellow people I work with, in their opinion as well, the very best thing that could happen at this point in time, shut the border down.
What are the odds of that?
It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen.
So you're thinking somewhere on the lines of increasing it from 2,000 a day to probably somewhere around 3,000 a day before the end of the summer.
That is my fear, and that's what it's looking like. They're not keeping up with the people that are coming in now. Their heads are barely above water, and then at times their heads go below water. And I'm speaking of the agencies, the agents, all the people trying to help the immigrants wanting to cross the border. They're not keeping up with it as it is. And my deepest gratitude goes out to all law enforcement that is down at the southern border, that has seen this, that is dealing with this on a day-to-day basis.
So I'm going to ask a more serious question, and we know that the trafficking and all that is a serious question, and the amount of people and the kids and stuff. But did you, or were you privy to any child abuse situations going on down there?
You mean as far as at the facilities go?
Either at the facilities or just beyond the border, on our side of the border? Were there anything that you saw that was a detriment to the children, not just the sleeping situation?
Oh, I mean, you mean as far as them being found, their health conditions,
and abuse, and sexual abuse, that kind of stuff.
Rumors, are always, but I don't put any stock in that. So did I personally see anything like that myself, or personally have to deal with that? No,
Good.
I did not. I did not. But it's along the way. Yes.
But I mean, if they're throwing mothers and children overboard, then you can probably assume that they're doing worse.
Oh, yes.
If they'll do that in front of your face, they're probably doing a lot worse behind your back. I mean, the assumption is that these people have no remorse with it being seen. I'm sure they have even less remorse when they're not being seen.
Yes, I did not personally witness this myself. I did not see this myself, but a fellow colleague of mine in Arizona, before and actually it was technically still, it was at the border. Basically there was they had, I don't know, there's no nice way to say this. It was basically a rape station. And yeah, those things are very real. And it happens.
The crazy thing about this is now they can't even prosecute those people because of what Biden repealed with the trafficking law.
That's right.
I hope people understand exactly what's going on here, okay? This man that usurped authority over America, did not win the election, has now removed all protections for not just kids, but women that are abused coming across the border or even in Mexico. And he has made it possible for these coyotes to do exactly what they've been doing, and has allowed them to not just do it, but do it in broad daylight without repercussions. You have these many children going through over and over every day, more than 2,000 a day coming into the United States, and you have no clue who they are. You have no clue where they're going, no clue where they're going after, no clue who they're with. Not only that, anything that you find out, you can't do anything about, because now that protection is gone. That's insane to me.
Yes, it is. And once again, the heavy boot of government is on law enforcement's neck.
That is just crazy.
It is a no-win situation, and the numbers are climbing. It's going to get worse. I know that they do the best they can to keep track of those crossing the border, but there's just no way. There's no way. Yes, they're supposed to have a sponsor to come. It's a mess.
If they're coming across illegal, they're not going to be coming with a sponsor.
Right.
the sponsor would only apply if they're coming through the legal port of entry.
Uh-huh.
It wouldn't mean anything even if they did come with a sponsor or come over illegally. They just eliminated any chance of that sponsor meaning anything, because you've now come across. We can't verify that was a sponsor at all. You can't even file for asylum, and this is the problem I have with Democrats. They're just coming, fleeing, and they're actually filing for asylum. You cannot file for asylum crossing at a place where it's not a legal port of entry.
That's right.
You can't do it. It's not a process for you to do that anywhere in American law. You cannot go through a broken section of wall and say, "Oh, I'm fleeing. I'm pleading amnesty." You can't have amnesty if you don't enter through a port of entry.
That's right. That's right.
So this nonsense that they're blowing around, if you haven't been aware of it yet, ignore that nonsense, because it's not possible. It isn't possible. I mean, they'll probably end up making it possible because they'll let anybody in at this point. But as far as the laws go, nothing in the laws accommodate that at all. So my last question then is this: the people that live on those bordering cities and states, what exactly are the protections set right now with the law enforcement agencies to protect them if the coyotes decide to use their property to come across?
They do the very best they can, but these, the ranchers, the people that have a piece of property where coyotes are known to try and cross, neighbors, they collaborate with their neighbors. And they collaborate with law enforcement, the very best, local law enforcement, the very best that they can. But they're pretty much on their own. So neighbors are helping one another out. They're trying to better secure their perimeters with cameras, and law enforcement steps up the very best they can. But while hundreds, thousands are being set loose into different cities, law enforcement has to deal with that. While, this rancher down here has got coyotes, 2-3 coyotes with a group of 10 or 20 people apiece, and they're armed, maybe with a gun, maybe with a machete, who knows? And they're going to have to hold the line till law enforcement can get there, and until Border Patrol can get there. So they have to protect themselves. They work with their neighbors and local law enforcement, like I said. It's not going to get better. And thank you for bringing up the families, the people that own property along the southern border, because they deal with this on a day-to-day basis as well.
Yeah, I mean, they have their families to protect as well. I mean, I don't know how they're expecting civilians who are law-abiding citizens to see this happening right in their backyard and not take some sort of action. I mean, it makes no sense to me that this is me, if you're in my yard and I didn't authorize you to be there and you're using it for something illegal, I will take action.
Yes.
And that they're setting people up to do a whole lot more damage than they are leading on to. I don't. This has far-reaching implications, is what I'm saying, because it's not just the people on the border; it's also the people in American states that are on that border that having to deal with the coyotes as they come across.
Yes. And the thing is that it's as you said, people show up on your property unannounced, uninvited, doing something illegal in a very threatening manner, and you go to protect your family, which you have every right to do, and you should, then you could be held responsible if something happens.
Right.
So I think you're right. Very far-reaching implications. The actions that is being taken right now by the current administration and the Democrats who are in control of both the House and the Senate is reprehensible. It's unconscionable. It's unforgivable. There is nothing in their plans. There's nothing that they have done that even remotely rises to the level of being humane and looking out for another human being. They could care less. They don't care.
That's just insane. That's just insane.
And I can't speak for anybody but myself.
So, your next step here is: do you have anything left to do down there?
Not at this point in time. Not at this point in time. I suppose I could very well get a call. But right now, I have been away from home a grand total of about 6 months.
Wow.
Off and on. I mean, I was gone for 2 months and then home for about 3 weeks and then gone for 3 months. And so I need a little bit of a break.
I would say yes. I would say I'd agree with that. And I'd say take it as much as you can, because if your prediction is correct about this getting exponentially worse, you'll probably end up being run ragged before this is all said and done.
Probably, but I love America just as much as I love my homeland of Israel, where I was born, and I will stand shoulder to shoulder with any American.
Isn't it funny that now you have foreigners that are more patriotic than the American-born people? I find that insane. I find that highly insane. I think it's because we know what it's like to not have the kind of freedoms that America affords elsewhere, and we can see that they're just abusing it.
Yes.
And wow. Well, I want to thank you for this interview, because this was much needed, because a lot of the people in my circle that listen, we all try to get our information as much as we can from very reliable sources, and it's very hard to come by anymore. You can't rely on any news station to tell you the truth. Someone had one question: what is the overall health of most of the immigrants that come over? And that's what we were talking about, this COVID thing too. But overall, are they coming in healthy, or are they coming in malnourished? Are they coming in pretty well fed?
I would say they have a modicum of health. There are a lot of elderly that are coming across that have very severe health issues that are specifically coming to the U.S. to seek medical treatment. But all in all, the trip, that perilous trip that they're making, by the time they get to the border, they're pretty ragged. They're hungry, they're thirsty, they don't. But I would say most of them have a modicum of health.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that's well, I guess that's good, I guess. Because it's not being recorded, really. I mean, in terms of it's not being really addressed, because they may get here partially healthy, and then they get put in a situation where they just go downhill from there. I mean, it's
yes, and so I know that ones that they're really down at the southern, they're really good about making sure that those that need immediate medical attention get it, and that they're able to assess that and deal with that. Like I said, the Border Patrol agents and other agents that are down at the southern border, God bless them, because they are working tirelessly to try and make a difference. Not only for the people that are coming across the border, but they're trying to keep their own communities and families safe.
Mm-hmm.
But what's going on right now, it's a disaster, and it's unlike anything I have ever seen.
Wow.
And I have seen plenty while serving with the IDF, the 8 years that I did. And I just don't see it getting better anytime soon.
Well,
but hopefully I didn't bumble over my words.
No, we have gotten a lot of information that we would not get from anyone else, because no one will tell us, because we in America now, just we're the last to know anything and the first to pay for it. So
right. Well, I am happy to tell what I can to those who want to listen. I just have found that there are many that just want to bury their head in the sand and don't want to hear it, or they swing completely the other way and they call you a liar.
Yep.
No. Yeah. You didn't get to just see what I saw.
And then then tell me I lie.
That's right.
Yeah. Well, I want to thank you for being on. I was looking forward to this for the last week. So ever since I was told about you.
Marlon, I do.
Oh, yeah, you did. A lot. I think this will end up getting a lot of attention once this gets spread around. So I know the people that are in the room right now are probably going to share this. And I encourage you guys to share this as much as you can. Get this information out, because people need to know what these clowns in power are doing, or rather not doing, which is their job. And they're allowing the situation to get worse. And the first people that are going to have to pay for it, both physically, emotionally, mentally, and financially, are the American people. So thank you again, Miss M. I will be in touch with you later on this week to see if we can set up another thing to talk about the Israel situation, because I do want to hear your take on that in more a robust form. And I will be hitting you up later on this week to get that information from you and set up another time that you can be on.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much for speaking with me.
Yes, and thank you for being here.
Thank you. Right. Shalom.
Shalom. So, guys, you got information that the news media will not give you. You got boots on the ground information. You got direct information. And it is worse than they say it is, worse than they have ever said it was. They are doing absolutely nothing about it. And we're going to be the first to pay for it, if nothing more is done. If you pray, because that's about the only thing we got left anymore. Not that it's a bad option, but when we could be doing more, we're not. So with that, I'll end the broadcast. Thank you guys for being here, listening. Thank you for the shares. And keep Miss M in your prayers too, because she's going to need as much energy as she can to keep up with this nonsense. We all will. So thank you again. Be well for the rest of this week. I'll be trying to be on tomorrow. I have a couple of things I want to get in my research before I say what I'm going to be talking about, to make sure I have the right info. But otherwise, you'll hear about what I'll be talking about come tomorrow. So thank you all for being here. And you all remember what I always say, wisdom, just like what we just got was wisdom, a whole lot of wisdom, calls to you from the street. Find wisdom. Peace.